Hi, and thanks for joining. If you're new here, my name is Wendy and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at places like garage sales, thrift stores, anywhere we can find to sell things online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, you're in the right place. Today's video is going to be what sold for January 28th through February 3rd. Let's get started. The first thing we sold was a vintage lot of 6 car vehicle alarm key fobs. Some of them were branded like Toyota, Avital, and some of them were off-branded. They were untested and sold as is. We got these at an estate sale for 75 cents and they sold for $21.55. We actually got these a really long time ago and listed them and sold them as an auction, and then the buyer never paid. We thought we relisted and sold these, and I guess that they didn't get relisted. I don't know what happened, but we discovered that we still had these when doing our annual inventory. This is exactly why we do an annual inventory, because we find stuff like this and we discovered that they weren't even listed. We hadn't sold them, and so we got them relisted and they sold immediately. So this was just profit that was sitting in our inventory, not working for us. Next up was a vintage Anchor Hawking Fire King coffee mug in the color avocado green. We got this at an estate sale for 50 cents and it sold for $13.58. Next up was a pair of women's Liverpool jeggings, and those we got at a garage sale for $3. They sold for $18.74. Next up was a Magnavox DTV digital to analog TV converter box, and that was new in the box. This we got at an estate sale for $5.41 and it sold for $29.99. Next up was a Justice Girls hot pink and gray leopard racerback tank top. We got that out of a storage unit for 28 cents and it sold for $16.14. Next up was a 2022 Sonic Wacky Pack Kids Meal toy, and this was a Tokidoki Strawberry Lemonade color changing spoon. It was new in the package. This was gifted to us to sell by a family member, so we had no cost, and it sold for $9.99. And as I've mentioned before, Sonic toys sell really well for us. Most of the time new in package, although we do sell some that are out of the package and loose. But for some reason, people are always looking for those Sonic toys. So if you see them new in the package, they might be worth picking up. Not tons of profit there. I mean, they are kids' meal toys, but they sell fast and they're super easy to list and store. So it might be something worth considering picking up if you ever see them. Next up was 2 Lily Pulitzer Target collab women's shift dresses. We got these at a garage sale where they had a lot of really nice branded clothing, but they did have some quite high prices. We had paid $20 in total for both of these dresses, and one of them ended up having stains on it that I didn't see at the sale. But they did sell for a total cost to the same buyer of $50, so we did make decent profit on those, but I felt like at the time, even at the time of buying them, that I had spent too much for them. And then when I got home, I realized that they were the Target collab, which I didn't realize at the time of purchasing. And I also realized that one of them had stains on it, which I didn't realize at the time of purchasing. So then at that point, I really felt like I had paid too much. But we still made decent profit on it, so no regrets about it now. But that they just really wanted a lot for their clothes at that sale. But they sold fast and it ended up working out, so no regrets. Okay, next up was a 1995 Upper Deck Electric Diamond Kent Hrebeck. I guess that's how you say that. This was one of Kevin's cards and it sold for $3.29. Next up was a lot of 14 yellow and red kids plastic shirt hangers, clothes hangers. These were ours, so we had no cost, and they sold for $1.69 with free shipping. This was one of my mess ups. If you want to know more details about how these mess ups happened, which I don't know that you'll get a lot more details, but I'll explain a little bit more about what we had going on with this in our last What Sold video. Definitely check that out. But These did sell for $1.69 plus free shipping, so that was a real bummer. But Kevin managed to pack it up in his magical way, and we only lost $5 or a little bit less than $5. And I think this is the last item that we had this little hiccup on. I don't think I'll be reporting about anymore in future what solds. If there are any more, it will be like one more, but I really think this was the last one. That was frustrating, but you know, it could have been a lot worse, that's for sure. So moving on to a sale that was really not that much better, but also another example of why we do annual inventory. This was a Sharper Image wall charger, and it was like a wall extender that gave you an extra plug and then I think 2 USB plugs maybe. And we decided to list it because it was branded Sharper Image, and Sharper Image things tend to sell for us. We found this in a storage unit, so we had little to no cost on it. We had on our spreadsheet that we had paid 23 cents for it. It sold for $7.50, so just a little bit of profit there. But I noticed when we were doing the annual inventory that it was just listed as an off-brand item. It didn't have a brand associated with it. And it was hard to tell that it was Sharper Image. It was just kind of stamped on the top. So Kevin pointed out, hey, this is Sharper Image. Why don't we have this in the title? And I think it was just an oversight on our part when we were listing it. So we updated that listing to include Sharper Image, and it sold immediately. So another good example of how doing an annual inventory can help you catch little mistakes like that. And we did get that item sold and out of our store immediately and got that $1.15 in our pocket, that's for sure. Next up was a Spin Master Monster Jam Grave Digger RC remote control vehicle. We got this at a thrift store for $5.40, and this sold for $19.98. Next up was a Bodum Kenya 8-cup coffee maker French press. It was new in the box. We got this at a garage sale for $5, and it sold for $24.99. Next up was a paperback book called In the Fifth World, Portrait of a Navajo Nation. We got this at a garage sale where everything was free, so we did not have any cost, and this sold for $7.98. Next up was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles baby bib. It said, "Trust me, I'm a ninja." We got that out of a storage unit for 23 cents, and that sold for $8.08. Next up was a music book from 1898, and that was in Italian. It was called Un giorno in Venezia for the piano, and that we got it at an estate sale for 54 cents, and it sold for $16.99. Next up was 2 Mosaic Mercantile 8-ounce packages of Crafters Cut pre-cut glass mosaic tiles. We found those in the Goodwill bins for $1.18, and they sold for $14.99. And next up, I'm going to announce the winner of our Nina's Jewels t-shirt giveaway. If you're not aware, we are giving away a Nina's Jewels t-shirt in every What Sold video, so make sure and stay tuned to find out how you can win. But the winner for this week is Reddy Weisberg 7906. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your support of our channel. Please message us at our email address that's listed in the description box below. Let us know what size you want. We have just regular adult sizing, and let us know what shipping address to send that to. And like I mentioned, we are giving away a Nina's Jewels t-shirt on every What Sold video. All you need to do to enter is be subscribed to our channel and drop a comment down below. Make sure to share this video out to anybody who might be interested in reselling or might want to win a t-shirt, because chances of winning a t-shirt are really good right now. So we are trying to spread the word about our channel and about winning a t-shirt. And if you're interested in purchasing a Nina's Jewels t-shirt, we do have those listed in our eBay store. And a portion of the proceeds of those go to support the Epilepsy Foundation. That's a cause that's very near and dear to my heart. So if you're interested in supporting us and the Epilepsy Foundation in that way, there is a link in the description box below. And there are actually all kinds of links in our description box that have ways that you can help support our channel. So go and check those out. But the number one way that you can support our channel is by subscribing to it, and by liking this video, and by sharing it out to anybody else who might be interested in our content. So we thank you so much for your support, and let's move on to the next item. Next up is a 2006 Navionics Hot Maps Louisville and Grapevine Lakes maps. It was actually two different fishing maps. We found these in the Goodwill bins for $1.03, and they sold for $20 even. Next up was a Texas Instruments TI-84 graphing calculator in the color pink. We had the cover with it, but we did not have the cord, although we tested it and it worked. We found this at a garage sale. I bought two different TI-84 calculators, and I did pay up for them because they did work. I didn't realize at the time that I bought them that they required cords. I thought these were the kind that needed batteries, and so that was my bad. So I bought them thinking that they were the kind that took batteries, so I was willing to pay up for them because I thought that they were that kind, and I knew that they would sell fast. But it did work against me that we didn't have the cords. However, the first calculator sold really fast and we made profit on that one. This one sold relatively fast. It sold within like a couple of months, and we did make profit on this one as well, although not as much profit as we would have made had we had the cord. Anyway, all that to say is TI-84 calculators are generally worth it, and a lot of times they're still worth paying up for, but be on the lookout for whether or not they take a cord and whether or not they're the kind that take the batteries. Those are just a couple of things I'm going to consider in the future. Okay, next up was a vintage 1936 Pasco Roberts Spanish guitar music book. This we found in the Goodwill bins for 67 cents, and it sold for $10 even, and I think that went overseas somewhere through the international shipping program. Next up was a pair of men's Stanley work jeans. We found these at a garage sale for $2.75, and those sold for $20 even on best offer. Next up was a Rawlings bat. It was a youth size alloy baseball bat, and we got that at a garage sale for $2. It sold for $20. Shipping ate into our profits a lot on that, so do bear in mind that long items like that shipping will eat into your profits a lot. So we did not have a lot of profit on this. One of the things when we found this bat, like we were having a really hard time comping it. We tried to comp it at the sale and we just could not find any like it. So we decided to take a risk on it. And obviously that risk really didn't pay off for us. I mean, we didn't lose any money, but we didn't make as much as we would have hoped. So next time we find a baseball bat that's kind of like this, we probably won't take any kind of risks. I'll probably comp it again because there are some baseball bats, especially the composite ones, that can be worth a lot. So I'm going to continue to comp baseball bats, but I'm not going to probably risk it if I can't locate a bat on one of the alloy bats again. Okay, next up was a Tommy Bahama women's chambray linen dress. This we got at that garage sale where we paid up for the clothes. We paid $7 for this and it sold for $37.48. And I will say that this is the second Tommy Bahama dress that we've sold. Both of those have sold very quickly and we've made good profit on them. So Tommy Bahama dresses are something I am going to continue to be on the lookout for. I'm not just going to pick them up as soon as I see them. I am going to continue to comp them because I don't feel like I know enough about them to decide that they're always worth it, but I think that I'm going to always comp them when I see them because I want to continue to do more research on that. I've now made good money on 2 Tommy Bahama dresses, so that's something to look into for sure. But not all Tommy Bahama items are equal, and I do not pick up all Tommy Bahama, that's for sure. Okay, next up was a 2015 Tie Beanie Baby. This is an item I definitely did not expect to sell. This was an orange plush Denver Broncos bear. It did not have the tag. We found this in a storage unit for $1.16, and it sold for $12.68. This is why I list everything that's in decent condition, because the things that I expect to sell the least sometimes are the first things to sell. So next up was a 1995 Score Platinum Complete Team set of baseball cards. This was Kevin's, and that sold for $25 even. Next up was another item I did not expect to sell. This was a brand new package by the brand Noteworthy of Princess Crown zipper sandwich bags. And we found these in the Goodwill bins for 61 cents, and they sold for $9 even on Mercari. These were definitely destined for our garage sale, but somebody bought them before we could take them out of our inventory. Next up was a vintage Laura Daniels Not Ugly Christmas sweater. We got this at a garage sale for $4 and it sold for $22.38 on offer to buyer. Next up was a genuine Eureka vacuum filter. It was brand new in the box. We got that at a garage sale for $1 and it sold for $19.98. Next up was 2 mini Funko figures for the movie Five Nights at Freddy's. It included the figure Vanny and Foxy. We found those in the Goodwill bins for $1.78, and those sold for $13 even. Next up was a vintage lot of 2. They were called the Sexton Desk Diaries from 1959 and 1965. They had recipes in there. They had like a journal where you could, write down your diary thoughts, and they had calendars in them, and they were both unused. They didn't have any writing in them. We found those at the thrift store for $1.73, and they sold for $34.38. Next up was a Pacific Accent Incorporated olive green ceramic wax melt warmer. We found this inside of a storage unit for $1.16, and it sold for $29.99. Next up was a 16-piece lot of various sewing notions. It included seam bias, tape, binding, facing, piping, those kinds of things. We found most of these at the thrift store, but they came from various different places, and we had paid in total $2.98 for that, and it sold for $14.69. Next up was a vinyl record of Fahrenheit by Toto that we got in an estate sale for $3.75, and it sold for $19.99. Next up was a pair of green chiffon elastic waist pull-on pants by the brand Forever 21. We found those in a storage unit for 28 cents, and they sold for $16.99. Next up was an antique glass doorknob. It did have some chipping on it, which we disclosed right in the title. We found that also in a storage unit for 28 cents, and it sold for $9.80. Next up was a plug-and-play USB webcam by the brand Nexigo. We got this at a garage sale for $4, and it sold for $31.99. And last up was a cassette. It was new and sealed. It was Celebration of Life by John Denver. We got that at a thrift store for 24 cents, and it sold for $10.99. And so that wraps up all of our sales for this week. Our sales definitely were down from the week before. That is due in part to the fact that we are, only giving as much time as we have right now to investing in our annual inventory and ending items and selling similar. We're not listing any new items right now. We're focused completely on annual inventory, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But it's also due to the fact that February is just historically not a great month for sales, really in any industry, but for reselling. And that's been true for us across the years. That's also been true for us with the other business that we own, which is a custom picture frame shop. February is just not a great month for sales. And I think personally that that's because it's after Christmas. People are still recuperating from the money that they spent at Christmas. They're focused on things like, cleaning out their house, doing spring cleaning. They're focused on getting their taxes together. They're worried about, are they going to have to pay in taxes? They're waiting for that tax refund to come. They're just focused on other things, and shopping tends to be one of the last things on the list. So once those tax refunds start coming in, though, sales do start picking up again. So if your sales are low right now, you can rest easy that you are not alone. Everybody is in the same boat as you, and sales will pick up. So we are definitely experiencing a slowdown ourselves, and this is just something that happens every year. But let's go over our totals. The total number of sales that we had this week was 37. Our average sale price was $19.92, and that was also down. Our sales totaled $737.19, and that made for a very low net profit of $270.44. But you know, I'm not worried about it. We definitely have a lot going on personally right now. It's something that I've talked about in previous videos. We have become the caretaker for Kevin's mom. And so we have had to focus a lot of our attention on getting organized with that, figuring out next steps, figuring out a long-term solution for her living situation. And so that has pulled a lot of our focus away from our reselling business. And we have really just tried to focus the majority of our attention on our annual inventory and cleaning out old inventory. And that's good for us because it helps us stay organized. It helps us make sure that our inventory is organized. And the number one thing that it helps us do is move out old merchandise. So as we're clearing out that old merchandise, we're getting more and more room inside of our inventory room, which is going to make way for later in the year when we do have time to go out and source and bring in new inventory. That new inventory that we bring in is going to bring us in higher profit margins than the inventory that's been sitting in our inventory room, growing stale, and that we've been having to consistently lower the prices on, make less and less profit margins on. We're just continuing to clear that merchandise out and make room for bringing in new stuff. Well, that wraps up this video. Make sure that you are subscribed and make sure that you drop a comment below so you don't miss out on winning the Nina's Jewels t-shirt, and share this video out to anybody who you think might be interested as well. And we will catch you guys on the flip side.